Hola. Hola. Buenos días.
Buenas tardes. Buenas noches. What was that?
What was tardes?
Well, because you fucked it up, so I had to fuck it up too.
Oh, shoot. Okay, let's do it again.
Okay.
Hola. Buenos días.
Buenas tardes. Buenas noches.
This is Barb.
And this is Estella.
And welcome to
Cafecito.
And Crime.
Do we cut the first part or do we leave it in?
Just leave it in. Fuck
Okay.
it. So we're I don't know what the fuck is going on with us. We went to go order coffee again to my matcha place.
And then I got decaf this time. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and she got the little sippy cup this time because y'all know I told y'all last time that she usually gets a sippy cup, but last week she got a large for some reason. But anyway, I was going to tell y'all de que she was like, ¿Qué fue lo que dijiste? Es que no pudiste decir.
I don't know.
Yeah, you do know. Estás in the way. I don't know, but we couldn't stop laughing. It was stupid.
I was still talking to the girl through the drive-thru and I was covering my mouth. I was like...
We couldn't stop laughing because I don't remember what the fuck you said.
Thank you.
Thank you. La pendeja. What the
Stop
fuck?
laughing.
But yeah. So,
I think she started laughing too también la muchacha.
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay.
I think we were just imagining shit. But anyway, I hope everyone is doing wonderful. ¿Cómo has estado, hermano?
Pretty good. Can't complain.
Sorry if you can hear that. I'm trying to clean my glasses porque, you know how that rolls.
Yeah.
No veo ni verga como quiera.
Do you have those wipes? What are they called? Lens cleaners? Or those little like wipey wipes?
Yeah, pero you know what I've noticed? That a lot of the times when I cook, they
fog up.
They fog up. So sometimes that happens. And I just cooked. Estella was like, you smell like boil.
When they're foggy though, isn't that supposed to help it when you clean them out?
¿Quién sabe? I don't know. And maybe I shouldn't be cleaning them with my t-shirt, but...
I do that too. Or sometimes I do it with the bottom of my, like, if I'm wearing leggings, because I feel like that works better.
Okay. Whatever makes you happy. I did go to the eye doctor. I'm getting new glasses, finally. Mm-hmm. And I am getting new contacts. It takes a week to get here, so...
I think we already talked about this, didn't we?
No, I didn't. Mm-mm. I said that I was going to go to the eye doctor, and then I got better this time. Yeah. So this time it was my follow-up, and I am getting new glasses. But other than that, it's been really cloudy today. It's been nice.
I like that.
Yeah, I like it too. But today, I will be bringing the episode. We are going to Epping, North Epping, Sydney, Australia.
Oh, shit. Okay.
I don't think I've ever talked about Sydney myself.
I don't think you have. We've been to Australia.
We've been to Australia
But
before.
You've never personally brought a case of Australia.
My personal self that I've brought one, I don't remember.
No.
I don't know. But I hope everyone's having a good summer. How's your summer been?
I don't like summer.
Okay. Anyway, well, let's move on from that.
Oh, wait. I am going to start taking intermediate swimming classes. Thank you very much.
Oh, wow.
I'm so excited. Intermediate. Did I ever say that I was taking them earlier
I don't remember,
in the spring?
But she was taking classes.
I did beginner again. I took another load of beginner classes.
Uh-huh.
And then...
Her and my son are going to be...
We're going to have a swim off.
Swim off.
Because he's also learning
how to swim. He's in actual swimming lessons right now. So, so one time, I don't know if we told you guys, but Estela went to go see my daughter dance.
Which time? I go often.
I know she does go often, but the last dance that we did, and then while we were there, Estela was like, I can do that. And I said, Estela, no, you can't. And she's like, yes, I can.
Oh, did we talk about? I feel like
I don't think we did.
Okay.
And then,
are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. And so then
we were talking about high kicks.
High kicks or
splits.
Splits and all this shit.
No, specifically a high kick.
Yeah, and I was like, Estela, no, we can't. And
yes, I can.
Like,
I do yoga.
Yeah, and that's exactly what she said. So then we told my other sister-in-law, because we all have to involve her in everything, even if she doesn't want to. I'm like, bitch, we're going to do this. We're going to have a kickoff, right? So then my daughter was showing them how to kick, and then they were trying to...
Because in the performance, us girls, they do it in a get in a line and then they grab their shoulders or whatever.
Yeah, and then everybody was, I'm too tall.
But you didn't want to do it.
Yeah, I was having issues that day.
Okay, yeah, I remember.
And so then next thing you know, Estela is like kicking and then she starts...
No, we did pretty good. Emma said that we did good.
So yeah, this girl, she has a thing about thinking she can do shit.
I can.
Okay, girl.
I can. I'm going to learn how to swim. I did pretty good high kicks.
I saw you floating in your last trip, but you were wearing a floaty.
Well, yeah, bitch, because that was the ocean. I'm not going to fucking jump into the ocean with beginner classes swimming.
Oh, I thought you would.
No.
No.
No, and then they told us, because everybody was like jumping off, because everybody else knew how to swim. So everybody was like jumping into the water off the boat. And then yo con mi life jacket, they were like, just jump in the water. I'm like, no, me va a salir la life jacket and I'm going to.
Final destination.
And then,
calm down.
And then I was telling, that you're with other people on this boat. And then, you kind of start making friends with, haciendo conversations with the people on the boat.
Oh, I would be everybody's friend.
Yeah. And then there was otra señora también that she didn't want to jump in. She was like, I'll go down the stairs, but I won't jump in. But she knew how to swim. She just didn't want to jump in. So before, I was saying all of this, I was like, okay, I'll jump in, but y'all have to be there and catch me. Not the people that, did the excursion. I was talking to the other participants that paid to be there.
Yeah,
but then no, they were like, you could just walk down the stairs. So me and my friend just did that.
Yeah, relax.
But no, I wouldn't. I'm not there yet. I just have a handful of, no, not handful. 8 classes. No, 12 in total because of last year's that I did as well.
Yeah.
But I'll be taking
But you know what?
classes.
My son, he started over again taking classes and he said when he went, he forgot everything. And he was actually not bad last year. And then he started over again this year.
Like what I know, my thing is I know how to float on my back, on my front. I know how to glide in the water, blah, blah. What I can't do is how to thread water. Like I just can't jump in the water and float back out and just stay there float. I can't do that. And if I manage to do that, then I think I'll be okay.
Okay. Well,
but we'll see.
We'll see. But anyway, I
don't know why we started talking about water.
Because we were talking about swimming.
People summers. Okay.
No, and then you thinking you can do shit and you can't.
Yes, I can. Oh wow, things were bringing me down. And
all the time. That's my favorite thing to do.
That's your passion.
That's my passion. I wake up in the morning and say, how am I bringing down Estela today? So if you would like to come with us to North Epping, Sydney, Australia,
go ahead and grab your cafecitos
and let's get started. So there's 3 fun, interesting, random facts that I got from North Epping, Sydney, Australia.
Okay.
I'm going to call it North Epping because that's the easiest way.
So what is it called then?
Well, it's North Epping, Sydney, Australia.
No, we'll just say North Epping.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
City.
Yeah.
Well, that's a city.
So number 1 is that North Epping is surrounded almost entirely by a national park. So basically it's in the middle y alrededor it's just national park.
Imagine the views.
Yeah, it's really pretty. I looked it up. Y el park se llama Lane Cove National Park.
Okay.
Okay. Also in Lane Cove National Park, there is a rock that is pretty much famous around the area because it looks like a whale.
Oh, now I want to pull it up.
I already did for you.
Thank you.
So it's a local landmark and it's called Whale Rock.
Oh,
right.
As it should.
As it should. And it's a large sandstone boulder that is shaped like a whale. And when I saw it, I was like,
somebody shaped it like a whale, or it's naturally?
It's not. I don't know. I guess somebody just started le pusieron ojos or something, but I don't know.
Oh yeah, it looks like a blue whale.
Yeah, it looks like a whale.
No, or even looks like an orca that's upside down.
Yeah,
right?
Kind of. But this is the rock, and so it's like a big area where everybody goes and walks around, and it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Another thing is that this area, North Epping, is strictly residential, which means there are
businesses,
no pubs, no fast food chains,
cool,
or major commercial buildings. It's just residential.
So is it like a suburb area?
It's a suburb, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So I did see that at one point it was connected, like North and South Epping was a whole Epping. Pero they ended up separating it. Don't know why, but that was on there too.
So once upon a time it was Epping.
Epping, pero ya no. Yeah, it's North and South.
Okay.
So today we're going to be discussing the case of a whole family, actually.
Oh, okay.
It's called we're going to be discussing the case of the Lin family.
Okay.
So we will start with Min Lin, and Yoon Lin. Yoon was actually known as Lily. So I'm going to call her Lily because it's kind of confusing. Because Yoon Lin, I don't know. Anyway, so this couple actually met in Sydney after migrating from China.
Okay.
So they migrated from China and they married there in Sydney after being in school, and they met and they started their family. They got married and they had 3 children. Brenda is the oldest, which is a girl, and they had Henry, which is 10, and Terry, which is the youngest of the 3 at 9 years old. In 2002, the couple started a news agency. So what is a news agency? It's kind of like a stand donde they have like magazines and newspapers and everything like that. Mm-hmm. So in 2002, todavía we would read the newspaper.
Yes.
So it was called the Epping Central News Agency. It was very fast growing, Estela. And I guess because of donde lo puso el señor, like where they opened it, it was very, very busy and it was a well-known business. So a lot of people would go there. It was said that in a year, it could have made up to $1 million.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Do I need to open a newsstand?
A newsstand, yeah. So the Lynn family became known for having this
news agency.
This community open, area. And like I said, this is a residential area, so no hay nada más que, people that are in the community, right?
Yeah.
And so it was very busy, very busy. The family lived in the northern suburb of Epping, which is what I said. So their house was actually in Epping. Mm-hmm. They lived there with Lily's sister, Irene, and she was 39. And she worked part-time for the news agency, too. Not too long after, Min also bought his parents, Yang Fei Lin and Phil Wink Zhu, a new home. And there were about a 30-minute drive from them.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So the Lins also lived in this community. And they were only 2 blocks from Min's sister. Her name is Karen. I mean, she had another name, but I'm just going to call her Kathy,
so tenían una sister que vivía ahí con ellos.
No, tenían una que vivía con ellos.
Pero otra que vivía close by.
Close by.
Y luego los parents half an hour away.
Yeah. Okay. So Min's sister, which is Kathy, and then la hermana que vivía con ellos is actually Lily's sister.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Okay. So la cuñada de él.
Sí, exactly. So then Kathy and her husband, Lin Ben Z, he was known as Robert, and their son also migrated to Australia from China. Mm-hmm. And he was a doctor back in China, so he wanted to come over and do the same thing. He wanted to open up it was a practice and stuff like that. So the practice didn't really work out. So he wasn't able to open the practice. Then he tried to embark on opening up a restaurant.
Okay.
Pero he wanted to bring a chef from China. And it was impossible. He could not bring them. He tried 3 times, and there was no way that he could bring anybody. Mm-hmm. And he wanted to be a business owner, kind of like Ming, know. I mean, Ming was like making the money. He was getting everything.
So era su cuñado, right?
Era su cuñado. Mm-hmm. So at this point, we are at Friday, July the 14th of 2009. At around 4:45 a.m., Min woke up early, and he took his daughter, Brenda, to the airport. So Brenda, like I said, is 15. She was going on a school excursion, and she was going to be gone for about a week. Brenda was going to study French with her class in New Caledonia.
That's cool.
So Caledonia they only speak French there. Mm-hmm. So they were going to go and spend some time there and kind of practice their French or something. I think that's amazing. Mm-hmm. She was able to say goodbye to her mom and one of her brothers. And she told her brother, I'm going to miss you. I'll see you when I come back. They were very close, the 3 of them. They liked their same interest, watching TV, watching movies and that kind of thing. So Brenda was said to say one of her brothers was always como following her around. Mm-hmm. And because he was very friendly and just, and then the other one was kind of just the baby, Mm-hmm. So she remembers that when they got to the airport, everybody was hugging their parents, She's 15. So she's kind of like, like vergüenza, I was embarrassed. And she said that she just was like, I don't know if I should hug my dad, because at this point she's like, oh, I don't know. So dice que she said bye to him. She kind of just waved. And she said, I even looked around and I looked at everybody else and I'm like, why are you making a big deal? We're going to be back in a week.
Yeah.
Because there was other kids like crying and shit. That would be my daughter.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're 15.
They're 15,
and I'm pretty sure most of them haven't been away from their parents for that amount of time. So
exactly. And so she said she looked around and she was like, okay, these people.
Or maybe they're just not así, no se despiden
exactly.
así, or they don't show that type of affection or something.
So she kind of just, he did the
waved
same.
Or whatever.
Y ella se fue a a su trip. So from that, excuse me, you know what? I said Friday and it wasn't Friday. July the 14th was actually Thursday.
Okay.
And then we went on, the 14th was a Tuesday. And then we went on to Friday, July the 17th.
Wait, what?
So the 14th wasn't a Friday. I apologize.
Thursday.
Yeah. No. It was a Tuesday.
Okay, you said Thursday.
Sorry about that. Okay. So now we're on Friday the 17th.
Later in the week.
So the same thing happens every Friday. The Lynns have dinner together at the Lynn's parents' house. So they would always get together. That was like their weekly thing. Y se iban a comer con los papás de Min and Kathy. So they were just sitting down, having a good time. Henry was asked by his grandma si se quería quedar, stay over.
Spend the night.
And he said no, because he had plans on the next day he was going to go play with his uncle Robert badminton. So le dijo, they were going to have a game. And le dijo, no, I don't want to stay.
Yeah.
So se regresaron todos. So Min left his parents' house at around 9. So we know that he did leave his parents' house at around 9 because there's a CCTV footage of him delivering some newspapers.
Okay.
So not only did he have a stand, he would also deliver some newspapers for the following morning.
Yeah.
So you can see where se baja Min y trae los newspapers y trae otro acá, and he was dropping them off. So we're guessing right after that he went home. So the next day, Kathy started to receive some phone calls from customers at the store. So apparently there was some customers that were noticing that there was stacks and stacks of newspapers outside of the store, and there was nobody at the store. So where's Min? So they started calling Kathy, like people that are...
Because you said she would work with them as well, right? She worked with them?
She worked with them as well, yeah.
Okay.
So then dice que she was kind of like, well, what's going on?
Right.
Like, I don't understand. So they're only 3 minutes away from them. So ella dice, ¿sabes qué? I'm going to go
check.
Because it was Saturday. So there's no way that they wouldn't open on a Saturday. Because Min was like, it's the busiest day. So she started calling y nada también. So without any luck, she's like, I'm going to go. So her and her husband, Robert, hopped on the car. And Robert was out in the garage. And she came to him and said, hey, they're calling me. Let's go and find out what's going on with Min. So when they go over there, they got to the Lynn home and they were trying to find out what's happening. That was around 9 a.m., between 9 and 9:30 when they drove over there. They got to the door. Now, there was something weird. The door was not locked.
Oh, shit.
Kathy called out to her brother and her sister-in-law de la puerta. And there was no answer. So they said, okay, well, let's go inside. Maybe they can't hear us. So she started to go inside and Robert behind her. And nothing was out of place. The shoes were at the door. Everything looked like everything was set up.
Where it's supposed to be.
Where it's supposed to be. So she's like, let me see if they're maybe in their room. So she started to go up the stairs. And when she started to go up the stairs towards her brother's and sister-in-law's room is when Kathy saw the most horrific thing she's ever seen in her life. There was blood everywhere, all over the doors, all over the floor. There was blood going up the stairs.
Oh, my God.
So when she got to the top of the stairs, she was like, okay, the first instinct was to run into her brother's room. So she opened the door, and on the floor, on the side of the bed, como que se había caído de la bed, was Lynn. Min was nowhere to be found.
Okay.
So Kathy ran out because she was like,
what the fuck is going on? Yeah, she was.
So the first thing that she thought was, I need to go check on the kids.
Yeah.
Right. So, but her husband kept saying, no, let's go. Stop. Let's
go outside.
Let's call somebody. Right. So then dice ella que she ran to go and try to check on the kids, but when she opened the door, the same thing. Both the boys had been also murdered. And we're guessing at this point, she probably looked into Irene's room, and as well as Irene was murdered. So at this point, the two boys, Irene, and we know that Lily is dead. So she's like freaking out. Right. So she just got a glimpse of everybody and she's running. So she goes downstairs and she starts dialing 000, which is kind of like the 911. And when she's calling, she's struggling to tell the operator. We're talking about... I'm sorry.
No, you're
I
good.
apologize. So she was kind of having a hard time because...
Like, you just wouldn't... Like, how do you even get those words out?
First of all. Second of all, English is not her first language.
Yeah.
So she was kind of talking in between Cantonese and also English. And then the operator that was on the line with her was not patient at all. What? Like, I tried to find a way to call him because I didn't want to say he was being rude, but he was not being like helpful either. Like he kept telling her, just don't say that, don't scream, be quiet, le decía. And then Kathy is like, my brother, like, no, yo creo le quería explicar, pero se le salía como su language, and she's crying at the same time, and it was just a mess. Like,
he wasn't helpful. He wasn't being helpful. Maybe his tone was...
No, his tone, I like I said, I understand why
you need them to kind of be...
Yes, to be
clear.
Calm, and I get that, pero, like, you didn't have to... Like, the way that he was talking, like, for example, she was just saying, quickly, just get here quickly. Y él le decía, don't say that, don't say quickly. We're on our way. And I'm like,
bitch,
what the fuck? Like, this poor lady.
No, that sounds rude to me.
No, yeah, he was, at the end, ya cuando they were...
Be like, como el que se estaba desesperando, like, bitch, I'm the one that just witnessed something horrific. Like,
yeah, it was just not nice. Yeah. So then, finally, she was able to get out the fact that her brother is there, and so then the operator is like, so you're at your brother's house, and she's like, yes, and then he's all like, okay, where's your brother? And she's like, I don't know. And so they kept asking him, do you see your brother? Mm-hmm. And she's like, no, I don't see my brother, because like I said, originally she didn't see her brother.
Right.
At this point, they're going back and forth, and you can hear eventually in the phone call donde Robert le empieza a decir a Kathy in Cantonese that he's leaving her there.
Su
esposo. Y que he's going to go pick up her parents.
Bitch, what?
And so then she's like, no, don't leave me here.
No, what?
And so then he's like, yeah, I'm leaving. So he gets on the car and drives off. Mind you, her parents live
30 minutes away.
And a 30 minutes. So it's like an hour.
An hour away.
Yeah.
Why?
He said that they needed to be there. I don't know.
But we don't even know what's really going on.
Exactly.
Like, shouldn't we just wait for, the police to get here first?
Yeah.
And then how the fuck are you going to leave me here by myself?
What if there's somebody still in
here?
There? What if somebody is about... Bitch. You never know.
What the fuck? Robert? This is Robert?
This is Robert.
Robert
Get it
leaves. Together.
So Robert se va. And, I mean, not only that, but now she has 5 potential dead bodies. The police is on their way, and they're like... And this fool is
and literally she just has to stay there and wait. I mean, I'm sure the police weren't far away, but
they
still,
weren't. They got there pretty quickly. So Kathy did not see her brother initially. So then when the police got there, they found Kathy outside the door, and she was just sitting there sola.
Llorando, like,
of course.
Distraught.
And they didn't even have an idea what they were walking into because no le entendían muy bien de lo que Kathy estaba diciendo. So, and the order of the murders, from what they gathered, I guess, was that Lily was killed first.
Okay.
At this point, they still don't know where Min is at. Mm-hmm. Followed by Irene, and then the 12-year-old Henry and 9-year-old Terry. Based on what they saw, it seemed like Lily and Irene were still in bed, like estaban dormidas, and they were attacked, but they were hit like with a heavy object.
A blunt object?
Yes, it was like a hammer.
Oh, shit.
They did notice that one of the boys did try to run.
Oh.
So I'm pretty sure that they saw
who it was,
yeah. Based on the way that they were positioned in the room, like they fought back. I don't know. I'm not sure if one of them or both of them did. But like I said, Min was nowhere to be found. So the police started to think that he was the one that had done this.
Right, that he was involved.
So they come outside again and they speak to Kathy, and by this time, Robert regresó, me imagino, de traer a los parents or whatever, I don't know, donde chingados andaba. And then they spoke to Kathy again, and they're like, hey, we don't know where your brother's at.
Yeah,
we have no idea. He's not here. And so then she asked him, please, look again. He has to be there. He has to be somewhere.
And she's thinking that he's just, también está muerto probably.
Yes.
He just hasn't been found.
But I think that she was trying to avoid them thinking that he's the one that killed his family. Okay. Like, he would never do something like that. So and then she says, look under the covers, under the bedspread.
Okay.
So...
But did you say kind of like that the bed was kind of tilted off the...
No. Lily estaba en el piso.
Okay.
And so then, como que se había caído.
Off the bed.
Off the bed.
Okay,
yeah.
onto the ground.
And so when they go up and lift the covers, he was there.
Wouldn't you do that regularly? Like, isn't that something
exactly.
that you would do?
That's exactly what I was thinking too. Like, they didn't even try. Like, they didn't even try to look for.
No, they were literally just like walked into the room and saw that they saw no body.
Oh, okay. There's a body here. There's a body. Like, what the? I don't know. But that's exactly what happened.
And why would she know to say to look under?
Oh, we're gonna get there. So the police.
You're like, girl, hold on.
Hold on, girl. So the police was able to notice that the electricity was shut off from the outside of the house. So you know how they have a little like, latch?
Mm-hmm.
Y estaba apagada la electricity. So once they found me, they were able to see that he was also hit with the heavy object. So possibly now at this point, they're like, okay, so Lily and Min, both of them died at around the same time. He was hit mostly on both him and Lily were hit mostly in the head and the face. So he was so unrecognizable, Estela, that they had to use other means to identify him. And he had been hit so many times and there was so much blood splatter everywhere that originally they thought that he had been shot.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
They were like, this can't be like, I don't know. Pero and it was, them two had mostly had been hit in the face and in the head. Meanwhile, I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but meanwhile, Brenda is still on her trip, right? And her friends and her kind of decide to see how everybody's doing back home. And they go on Facebook. So everybody starts sending her messages and she starts getting messages of people asking her, are you okay? Are you okay? And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Right?
Yeah.
So then somebody eventually sent her a news article. And she didn't believe it because she's like, there's no way. And then that's whenever she saw a picture of her home.
Oh.
And so then she's like, okay, something happened. So when she was going through the messages and everything, the principal comes to her and tells her, okay, you have to go home.
Yeah.
So they pack her things and everything. And at first she says, I thought it was a joke. She's like, this has to be a joke. There's no way. They put her back on the first plane as they could to make it back home. The police escorts her from the plane to Kathy and Robert, which they pick her up from the airport. She said that until she saw her aunt's face, like how devastated she was and how like everything, when she saw her, fue cuando she was like, okay, this is not a joke. I thought this was a bad joke. Brenda is a minor, so she has to live with someone at this point. So the only adult people that were around were Robert and Kathy, because they lived in the area, so she didn't have to, like, I guess, move schools or whatever.
Logistically, I guess it was closer.
That was the closest thing. And Robert even offered to adopt Brenda not long after she came back.
Damn, bro, like,
chill out. So the funeral for the family members was held a few days later, and Brenda did say a speech. She said she doesn't remember what she said. She was extremely brave, and it was very sad because they had them all lined up.
Those caskets?
The caskets.
Oh, I can't imagine.
Yeah, she's just there. She's not crying. I guess the emotion is not...
Actually, her body's probably like trying to hold it together.
Yeah. You literally just lost...
your whole family.
Your whole family. And then her grandparents are like hugging her and holding her and stuff because,
I'm sure she's probably still in shock. Like she hasn't been able to process.
Yeah.
I mean, and like we always say, I mean, everybody processes things differently,
yeah.
so.
So the community was very invested in the case because the new agency was covered in flowers with a lot of memorials for the Lynn family. The community also started a fund for Brenda to help her as much as they could. And Kathy and Robert did take over the news agency. The investigators, at this point, they started to look a little bit deeper into the case because they don't have anything.
Like you were saying at the very beginning, they thought it didn't seem that somebody broke in based on the way that, everything seemed to be in place. Nothing was ransacked.
Nothing. So I'm going to go over that. So the family is said that they were dead between 10:20 p.m. to 2 a.m. So they're in between that time is when this happens. And they thought that this could have been so what happened was that Min had witnessed a robbery from his agency. So he helped solve that case. Some kids were some people were robbing a armor truck. So they thought maybe they're out to get them, or maybe they're, because he was a witness, pero it was really quickly ruled out.
Yeah, but I mean, it would be one thing to go after Robert. But
No.
I mean, I'm
Men.
sorry, men, but the whole fucking family?
The whole thing.
Y luego para matarlos así, like, bitch.
So when looking closer at the crime scene, there was no forced entry. So whoever came in had a key.
Right.
Also,
or it must have been somebody that they knew.
Also, all the doors had blood on them. I mean, all of them. So the killer was going by one door, closing the door behind him or her or them. And the blood was smeared on the handles, which means that they were wearing gloves, right? The only door that was untouched was Brenda's. So what does that tell us?
Can I answer?
No. They also were able to determine that somehow the person who did this tied the weapon to their hand. Like if it was a hammer or something, para que no, so that they would get a better grip.
Yeah, so it wouldn't fall.
So it wouldn't fall off or whatever.
Slip
or lose grip of the handle.
Damn, I've never heard of that before.
I've never either, but I don't know. But there was a total of 24 bloody footprints that were found
around the home,
everywhere. And those 24 footprints were all from the same shoe and the same size. So there were no other footprints found anywhere else. And when they analyzed the sneaker, it was a type of A6. So it's an A6 sneaker that is between an 8.5 and a 10.5. So they only matched up to 3 types of the shoe. Okay. And none of them have been manufactured since 2005.
And we were in 2009.
In 2009.
Okay.
Like I said, nothing was missing. This was not a burglary. The killings were so brutal that it was apparent that this must have been personal or had some sort of attachment to the victims. Kathy and Robert were questioned, obviously, because they were the ones that were first on the scene, again and again. And they were asked if they could have any idea of who could have hurt the family. And they both didn't give any information to help. It was just unbelievable that this would happen to such a peaceful family. They didn't mess with anybody. Then Kathy and Robert did appear in an emotional press conference asking, please, if somebody knew anything or if they could help, bring justice to their family, to please do so. The investigators also started to question if Brenda, being the lone survivor of the family, could be a danger. So could they come back and try to hurt her? So the investigators, they were almost sure that this has to have been somebody that they knew, or like we said before, that they had access to a key of some sort, or, because everything was just done. Nothing else could have been.
Yeah.
Also, someone that knew Brenda wasn't home.
Yeah, because that's why there was no smear, or they didn't try to go
in her room. They were like, okay, she's not there, so why even go in there? In the beginning of 2010, police started to investigate Robert a little bit deeper. It was just a little bit suspicious, like the Queen says, that Robert left his wife after she asked him to not leave her at the home alone. And
she literally just found her whole family.
And it was like he was in a rush to leave, or like, where are you going, bruh?
Yeah. Can't you wait?
Also, the fact that Robert was a doctor, as I mentioned before, and he never tried to go check on the family to see if anybody was alive or if they needed help. Like, he already knew that they were dead.
Yeah, and he was just like, let's go outside.
Yeah. And so, or even try to see if they could help, if he can help them, right? Robert also took over the properties of men. And the the store and the property. And then at one point, you know what he did? This fool kicks out his in-laws from the house that their son had bought them.
Bitch.
Yeah, los corrió.
What? Those are still her parents. Yeah. Your wife's parents.
Exactly. So they were forced to find somewhere to live.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, hell no.
So he said he had an alibi for that night. He said him and his wife came home from his in-laws, like everybody else did.
Right.
And he watched TV until around 2 a.m. is when he went to go bathe, shower. I don't know.
Damn, bro, what are you watching?
I know.
That long.
And his wife, Kathy, said that it was all true because she was there.
Okay.
But, okay, whatever. With no more leads, the detectives were now worried about Brenda, right? Because they're like, okay, I don't know where she's at. Now, this is where it gets a little bit iffy, because I don't know how, but they installed cameras inside of their home.
Who did?
The police installed cameras inside of Kathy and Robert's home.
Oh, shit.
But I don't know how that works in Sydney, like in Australia. Like, I have no idea if this is something that's legal.
They had a warrant.
I don't know anything about that. All I know is that
Or maybe they did it under the basis of, for Brenda.
Because she was in danger. Like,
yeah.
I don't know how that works, but they did. Okay. Not sure what it was, but they did install something and they went into surveillancing them for 6 months. They were like, we're going to watch them bien, right? So in May of 2010, they brought Kathy back in to interview her again.
And this was almost a year after everything happened, right?
Almost a year. And they asked her about the shoes that Robert was wearing. And whenever they were asking her this question, she did mention that Robert loves Asics. That was his favorite shoe. And he wore them all the time. So they tell Kathy that they found footprints in the home, and they even tell her the shoe size and the type. But she doesn't really mention anything else. But not long after, I guess when she went back home, in the video, in the camera, you can see Robert is tearing up a shoebox. And he's tearing it up, and he's soaking it in water in a bucket. Okay. And then he's flushing it down the toilet.
Oh, damn.
And he did that multiple times. And then when you look closer, the detectives were able to see that it was an A6 box, and it was a size 9.5. Right? After this, the police did obtain a warrant for the house to search it. And in the entire house, I'm talking about from head to toe, the house was searched. Then, so they searched everything, including the garage, because remember whenever Kathy went to go tell her husband, hey, they're calling me about my family, let's go see if they're okay. Well, he said he was cleaning the garage. So the
at that
moment. So the investigators was like, okay, so why are you in the garage? So looking through everything, and Kathy, like I said, mentioned that Asics was his favorite pair of shoes. Pero donde quiera, no había ni un par de Asics. There was nothing.
All of a sudden.
All of them were gone, and all the boxes.
Right.
And not only that, but whenever they were looking at family pictures, he was wearing Asics in the family pictures.
Bro.
Right? Now, whenever they were looking, the investigators in the garage, they were moving some things around, como que tenía boxes, and then some like things where he was like fixing shit, like cajas así como shelves and stuff. In there, when they moved the shelf, they noticed that there was a brown stain. Obviously, the investigators were like, hey, we need to test this. So everything that they would see, they would test for blood. Everything they would test for blood. And this one, positive for blood. So this one was actually positive for blood. And it looks like it was covered como con una box. Como que it was...
He was trying to hide the stain.
I don't know if he was trying to hide it or he didn't see it.
Okay.
Yeah, because if he was cleaning the garage y le limpió y se le pasó, like because it was under something.
Well, maybe, he was in a hurry to just kind of...
Exactly, yeah. Then after this, they did collect the sample. And when it was tested, it came back positive for blood. So the investigators or the forensic analysis was saying that it was a transfer stain. Que quiere decir que it was either dripping or it fell off of something else.
Yeah.
Right? So when they were able to pick up the sample, Australia at the time didn't have the best or advanced technology to make sure that they ran all of these DNAs. So they had to send it to the US.
Okay.
Now, it took some time. They labeled it Sample 91. For some reason, it was a big deal because that was one of the biggest things that came back was Sample 91. They just saying Sample. I don't know why everybody was just like, it was all over the news, Sample 91. And it was a small smudge, Stella, probably about not even an inch, like chiquita.
Yeah.
And so de allí, they were able to trace it. But when they come back from the lab with the results, it was worth it. This is what they had been waiting for, the investigators. So when the sample came back, it showed that there was 4 out of the 5 family members that were murdered.
And that's much. Oh my God. And as much that's small.
That's small.
And you know what's sad? Is that obviously, like going from killing one family member and going after the other, like you're just, I don't know, it's just, you're just doing it back to back to back, that it's all your blood are just literally on your hands. Yeah. And then you just transfer that over.
Yeah.
I don't know how that just like.
No, it's mind blowing. It is.
Yeah.
It is. So on May 5th, 2011, they arrested Robert for the murders of the Lynn
And it just
family.
goes to show you how long they had to do this investigation for, and how long they had to wait for the sample to be tested back, from the U.S., or just building the whole case against Robert.
So Robert was saying it was not him. And that he...
Where are your ASICs at, Bill? How?
No,
Where are
not
your
only
shoes at?
that, pero like he was saying que no fue él y que he had nothing to do with it and that they were framing him. And Kathy was behind her husband the whole time. She's like,
Yikes. No. And obviously that has to say something, because obviously from what we know, she didn't do something when he kicked out her parents from their house.
Obviously.
Bitch. Absolutely not.
Kathy was like, no,
he didn't do it.
He didn't do it. And even Brenda was like, I can't believe that my uncle would do something like that.
That's so sad.
So with Kathy and Brenda doubting, Robert, the investigator, not doubting Robert, basically, que le creían. The investigators had to get as much evidence as possible against Robert so that they can get a conviction. So apparently from what I read or where I heard somebody talk about was that it turned into such a big story in Sydney.
I bet.
That the police started getting pressure from like the people hey, are you going to solve it? Like, what's going on? Why can't you solve it? Mm-hmm. So things started to going faster because they wanted to see if they could find who did this, right?
Like when it's like that, you kind of have to give them the time, because like you're saying, they have to build like what is the word that is fleeing my mind right now?
Credible or a good case or something?
Well, technically you have to build like a good case that wouldn't be able to be, pulled apart in court, or a trial.
That withstands the trial, right? Yeah. So they
and that takes time.
That takes time.
You can't just do that in like a couple of months.
So they spoke to an inmate, and they asked the inmate that was going to be they were going to put him in the same cell with Robert.
So sí lo arrestaron y toda la
lo arrestaron. He went to jail, pero what I was saying was que everybody like was standing behind him. Que él no fue.
Like he was saying, oh, I've been framed.
I've been framed. Oh yeah. He used this being framed like a lot. So the inmate was going to be in jail in the same cell with Robert. And the police was like, hey, do you want to reduce sentence, sir? Do you want to work with us?
And he's like, okay.
And it sounds like he had already been like an informant for the cops. So the inmate was like, cool, let's do it.
No skin off my back.
Okay.
I'm down.
He was going to gain Robert's trust and ask him about the deaths and see if he can get some information. Not much time later, Robert started to talk
to the inmate.
Yeah. He told the inmate that he had given Kathy sleeping medication to make sure that she did not notice that he was gone. He also said that he had bought a hammer at a Dollar Tree, and he was sure that the cameras there at the CCTV cameras were fake, and that's why he went to that particular Dollar Tree.
What?
To buy the hammer.
How did he know that they were fake?
I don't know if he was just making that shit up. And he said he wanted to make sure that there was no like cops or anybody that could recognize him. He also told them that he hid the hammer well, but if he needed to have access, he could get it back again.
Okay.
Mind you, they never found the hammer. They've never found the hammer since then. Robert also told the inmate that since he was a doctor, he knew where to hit someone and incapacitate them and for them to lose consciousness. So, like, he knew the pressure points, I guess.
Yeah.
Me imagino. Oh, and he was also, I think I read somewhere that he also knew martial arts. Like, he was like a martial arts expert or something like that. I mean, if he was
a martial artist.
No, martial arts expert, I said.
Well, like a martial artist?
I don't know. And so then he was an ENT doctor, which means ear, throat, and nose. Yeah. So, I mean,
facial cranium, kind of all that stuff, yeah.
So here's the deal. Only some of the conversations were recorded, but with the inmate, and some of them were not. So at this point now, the cops are like, okay, it's his word against the inmate's word, right? So the prosecutor said that the reason that Robert had killed the Lynn family, was because he did not have a good time adapting in the new city, like his brother-in-law did.
Okay, bitch, how is that their fault?
Exactly. He was often compared to men, and he was reminded that his brother-in-law was way more successful and Robert had no job at the time by his father-in-law.
Bitch, once again, how's that their fault?
Exactly.
Supéralo.
They also presented the court with evidence that they were in a financial struggle and that Robert and his family were having. One of the motives that was one of the motives that was
they presented.
That they presented. So there was another motive. Now, in this fucking case or like trial, they literally stopped it 4 times, bitch.
Why?
Like they would have a trial and then, es donde traen they're wearing the wigs.
The magistrates?
The magistrates, yeah. So they're wearing the wigs y todo. So first they would come up with something and then they would be like, oh, court dismissed porque se sentía mal el judge.
Okay.
And then the next time,
something always happened that would...
Always happen, and they would have to retry and retry. So around this time, they brought Brenda up to ask some questions. And Brenda brought something to light that I think that this is the sickest thing that I could think of why this guy killed these people.
I can see where this is going.
She had the courage to say the truth while she was on the stand. And she told her lawyer. And it turns out that I think that Robert was obsessed with her.
Yeah.
He had been inappropriately touching her long before the murders had happened. Kathy's father did testify
he was sexually abusing her.
Yes. Kathy's father did testify that one day he stayed in his daughter's home and he went to the restroom in the middle of the night and found Robert standing over Brenda's bed. This was after the murders. So Robert...
Ew.
Yeah. So Robert was very upset that he was seen standing in the room and he got mad at the...
father-in-law?
At the father-in-law.
This man.
Yeah.
And that's why I was going to ask you, I'm like, why did he wait until she wasn't there to do it?
Yeah.
It's because,
Exactly. It was also brought up that Robert wanted to make sure that Brenda stayed with him. As I told you before, remember that...
She's 15, man.
When she came back from the trip, whatever, he was...
Like pushed for it?
Yeah. Not only that was he pushing, but he also was like, we'll adopt her.
Ew.
To make sure that she didn't have another choice.
And had nowhere else to go.
Not only that, but they think that's why he kicked out his in-laws.
That's what I was about to say también ahorita. That's disgusting.
Of their home.
¿En Australia? ¿Allá matan?
No matan.
Oh.
No matan, no. After this testimony, the trial was restarted again because I'm telling you, they started like 4 times.
It's just a lot of disruptions for whatever reason.
Yes. So every time that it would restart, Robert would petition to be released on bail, and he was denied every time. But after 4 years and 7 months spent in jail, the judge did grant a bail because they had him in jail with nothing. Like they literally...
What do you mean with nothing?
They had him in jail, but he wasn't charged yet. They were charging him with murder, pero he
hadn't gone to trial.
No, because every time, I'm telling you, like it was the craziest thing to read, and I didn't understand why they do that. I don't know if it's maybe over there. I don't know how it works. But anyway, he did get out on bail on December of 2015, but it was under consistent. Así se dice? Consistent surveillance.
Constant.
Where did I get consistent from? What the fuck? So he was under constant surveillance and he was wearing a monitor. And
by this point, I know initially you said that Brenda was, behind her girls as uncle, saying he didn't do it, y también Kathy. But by this point, had they or Kathy was just like already...
not Kathy.
She was still standing behind her mans?
Yikes. She was ride or die bitch. Pero not Kathy, pero Brenda a little bit.
And I mean Brenda by this point ya era mayor de edad.
Yeah,
I mean, she was.
But I think Brenda, the reason she was saying que no, I don't think she was saying que no pasó. She was just saying that she couldn't believe that it could happen.
Like he must have been gross towards her, but she didn't think that it would go as far as you know. Mm-hmm.
And so, like I said, he wasn't in the surveillance.
He was granted.
Yeah. But he had to report to the police 3 times a day. Yeah, and was wearing a monitor.
They shouldn't have let him out. Okay.
In June of 2016, the final trial began.
Okay.
Okay, with the people con las wigs. And in January 2017, the court reached a verdict.
Okay.
Because they kept going back and forth. Like there was like 11-1. Mm-hmm. Like there was no definite, like straightforward, this is it. This is what it is. So he was found guilty
thank you,
of committing the crimes that and he
was
did
accused of.
Received a life sentence per murder.
So 5 life sentences.
5 life sentences without a possibility of parole.
Parole. Okay, Scooby-Doo.
For real. Give me a Scooby snack. Kathy still stands behind her man, girl. She's like, nope, he didn't do it. But cuando I was going to finish doing my research, I found out that at one point, Kathy, when they were recording, she was on the phone with, I guess, Robert. Y Robert le estaba diciendo que hiciera, like, que dijera. Like, telling her, you have to say this, you have to say that. Or this is how we found them, and blah, blah, blah. And she was, like, telling the officers that. Not only that, but you know how when I told you that she was like, oh, look under the cover, they had seen him talking to her before that. So they couldn't understand because they were talking in their language, but they're almost sure que él fue el que le dijo.
Hey, I'm going to go get your parents. If for any reason, just tell them to look under the covers or whatever. You never know. He might be there. Yeah.
Wow. So, pero ella dice que no.
Well, ya, ¿qué va a decir?
No, she says que no, que
el pobre, no el pobre, I mean, fuck her, pero ya está de por sí en la cárcel todo el resto de su vida. Like, say that.
I mean.
Pero también lo va a negar because she doesn't believe that he did it, remember?
She doesn't believe. She's saying that like I said, they keep saying that he was being, ¿cómo se le llama? Framed. Que he was being framed. Mm-hmm. Pero I don't understand why they would frame them.
Who would frame them?
Yeah, who would frame them?
Like, who?
So this was very, like I said, controversial case because of the fact that no one could believe that he was able to kill
a whole
family by himself. And so here's the deal. And I understand why it would be kind of hard to understand that.
Again, because you said he did it with the hammer. Mm-hmm. So.
But then he also knew how to incapacitate people.
Like with one hit.
Yeah. So he knew where to hit them. And
I could understand the kids because he could have fought off, or like they're easier to.
But the kids actually try to run. So that's why I'm like, okay, so it could be possible. If he killed the parents, he goes in there, kills them quickly because he knows what he's doing. He runs to Irene, kills Irene quickly.
Y los boys.
But by the time the boys find out, then that's when they try to run, you know? Not only that, pero
también I guess it depends as far as the parents. Like, they're sleeping together in a bed. So how do you hit one and the other one hears right away? And then le das al otro just to incapacitate them. And then you start going harder?
Yeah, because he went, like, to another level.
No, the way that you said that the men, you can recognize them like they thought that he had been shot.
Yeah, because of the amount of blood everywhere and the splatter of everything. It was just a lot. Not only that.
How are people, I don't understand, like, por qué la gente just be like, oh, I'm just going to go murder these people because I can't be the loser in the family.
I know.
What?
And it's like, dude, I understand exactly. That's why I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know what to think about this because, you know, like I said, it was very controversial. It was there was just a lot it was a lot in the
public pressure.
Yeah. Not only that, Brenda later states, this is really sad because she says that she wishes she could have told her dad.
She never hugged him before she left. Yeah.
The day that they were standing there awkwardly while everyone was hugging their parents, that she appreciated everything that he did for her and that she wanted him to know how much that she loved him.
And it's just like, you just never know, you just never know.
Never know. Brenda did say that she did try to go back to the home.
Oh no.
She was like, but it was too much. She couldn't do it. She said, now when the home was put up to sell, the money that was given for that house, the people that sold the house, because that was the same realtor that has sold it to men, actually gave the money to Brenda for her education.
Aww.
And that is the Lynn family murders.
That's crazy.
Like,
that's super sad.
It's sad, and like I told you yesterday, it's disgusting because the fact that you think
it was a combination of all the things that he was a loser in the family, and then he, I mean, como dices, he was obsessed with Brenda, which I think he was.
I think he was. I honestly, that I do believe. I believe 100% what Brenda said, that he was like
sexually abusing her.
And then the fact that the grandpa was like, yeah, I saw him standing over her, like.
And again, también, not just that, but why did he wait till she was gone to do it?
Well, yeah.
You know, like...
I don't know. That's the thing. You don't know. And Brenda has to now live with the fact that her uncle, that she thought, I mean, she was living with him.
I mean, you lost your whole family. You lost your immediate family that was killed. You lost your aunt and your uncle because that's nasty and they can go fuck off.
Fuck that. Yeah. But the thing is now, like, what's up with Kathy? Kathy doesn't believe that
that's
he
what
did
I'm saying.
it. So now
she lost. Yeah,
her too.
That's what I'm saying. And then, con quién se queda? Con sus abuelitos?
Yeah, and they're like older already, los abuelitos y todo. So, and hopefully they give them their house back. Shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
And hopefully, she got the business.
Yeah, I'm sure she probably either passed it on to someone that would help or something. I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, but
there is an interview out there of Brenda that she did by herself, like after the murders. It was like 4 years after or something like that. So if anybody wants to listen to her, it's really sad. And the fact that you imagine the guilt that she feels now. The remorse or whatever. What do they call it? The survivor guilt. Que ella de sentir, because she didn't die and everybody else did. Yeah. So let us know what you think about this case. If you would like to follow us, you can follow us at
Cafecito and Crane Pod. And if you would like to download our episodes, rate us, and or leave us a review, we would really appreciate it. You can listen to us anywhere that you listen to podcasts, including YouTube, audio only.
Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you in the next one.
Bye.